Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/OhNoConsequences. As per usual, I'll be reading you the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Posted from r/Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for asking my parents to cut me completely out of their will? I am the only woman in my family, besides my mother, obviously. I have 3 older brothers. The youngest of them is not neurotypical due to a traumatic brain injury as a child. My parents are getting older and trying to figure out what to do when they cannot care for my brother. They had us all over for dinner last weekend. They said that they wanted to sell me the house now at a very low price, and in return, I would be responsible for my brother. I have considered this in the past, not the house, the taking care of my brother. My husband and I would love to have a house now instead of never. So, I agreed to the proposal. My brother gets a disability check from his settlement, and that is enough to pay for all his wants and needs. My other brothers both got irate that I would be getting a house and access to my brother's money. It started a huge fight. I ended the fight the most expedient way I could think of. I backed out of the deal. I said that we did not want to be the cause of discord in our family, so instead, I said that we wanted nothing from my parents and no responsibility whatsoever for my brother. I said that my other brothers could get all the money and all the work. Then I left. I was really disappointed because I know my parents want to enjoy their retirement, and I know how to take care of my brother. Now everyone is calling me to say that I misunderstood, and that of course I should take care of my brother in his home where he's most comfortable. I do not want the drama, and I am not changing my mind. So a part of this that I picked up on that really pissed me off was when they found out that OP was getting the house at a cheap discount in return for taking care of their brother. The conversation wasn't, whoa, I want to take care of the brother, or, oh, whoa, I want access to the house and I'd be willing to take that responsibility. It was, you have access to the house and your brother's money. They do not see that settlement money that the younger brother has access to as being for his needs, but free money that they have access to. Something tells me the parents are aware of this and are hesitant to give the 2 older brothers access to the younger brother's finances, and trust their daughter far more. Which is also probably why we're seeing the parents attempting to backpedal with the "you misunderstood." I also wonder if the parents broke down to the 2 older brothers of the fact of, just because you manage his finances doesn't mean you have access to them. You will not be able to spend his money as you see fit. Granted, that's just my tinfoil hat theory based upon a single line in this, but I do feel like that is a bigger, expose of how they really feel about the situation. They're just mad about the fact of, oh, you get a house and our brother's money? And not realizing it's, you get a house and the responsibility of caring for your brother. And unfortunately, I wonder if once they realized they weren't getting the money, but instead the responsibility, they backed out of it and wanted to leave that to the sister. That's my theory, though, and why everyone was suddenly calling about the misunderstanding. Marcel Torak. Oh no, your job! It's broken! Not me, my husband, but it's just so beautiful. So, Jerkface comes down while my husband is working the front desk at a hotel. My husband is on the phone with another customer when Jerkface starts smacking the counter and loudly yelling about how the free coffee has run out. My husband politely points out that he's on the phone with a customer, and will refill the coffee as soon as he's finished. Not good enough for Jerkface, who loudly complains, swearing the whole time. Eventually, because hubby is still on the phone, he stomps off. Later that same day, he stomps out of the restaurant attached to the hotel, grumbling and complaining, and my husband calls out that the coffee is ready. He starts yelling at my husband about how it's too late now, and comes up to the desk to vent his anger. He starts swearing at my husband, so my husband tells him to pack his stuff. He has 15 minutes to leave, or the cops are called. Our hotel has a no-tolerance policy for direct verbal abuse of staff. Jerkface doesn't start packing. Instead, he keeps swearing at my husband and threatening him, just as the general manager walks out of the office, who tells Jerkface to get out or he's calling the cops. General manager also points out, while ending the man's week-long stay at the hotel, that he knows the man's boss by name and will be calling said boss to make sure Jerkface never stays at her hotel again. General manager does indeed call the boss and is promised that Jerkface won't be coming there again. General manager also sends the boss the video of Jerkface and his behavior, and an hour later gets a call that Jerkface is fired. Because that is not how this company behaves. My guess would be is the guy in question was probably hopped up on the fact that the hotel was paid for him by the company and probably felt like he was the king of the world and entitled to all the amenities 24/7, having the feel of, do you know who I am or who my company is? Not realizing that he's a guest, not a resident. Also, I feel like this should be common knowledge, but if you're traveling for your company, you are a representative of that company, and what you say and what you do is a direct reflection of what your company supports. So yeah, it makes sense that he was fired because the company definitely would not want that kind of reputation to be following them around because of one asshole decided he owns the world and deserves that free cup of coffee. Damn, homeboy really nuked his career over a cup of coffee. Originally posted to r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my mom she's dead to me if she mentors my bully? So my, 16 male, mom, 40s, is a teacher at my school. Our school has a special elective you can take, which is being a teacher's aide during your elective period. It's mostly stuff like grading papers for them, making copies, mentoring, etc. It's pretty much always just the teacher's favorite student at the time. I found out at the beginning of the semester that my mom chose Dave, 17 male, to be her teacher's assistant. Dave has made my life a living nightmare since middle school. He has bullied me mercilessly, both physically and emotionally since 6th grade. I don't want to get into everything he's done to me, but everyone is fully aware of it, including the school and my parents. There have been countless meetings with school administration and suspensions on his end, but it never stopped him. Since we've been in high school, I haven't had to see him as much, which is a relief, but the times that I do are always terrible. When I found out that he was her new TA, I was obviously very hurt and confused. I asked her why she would want to spend extra time with someone who made my life so terrible. She said that she had him in one of her classes and that he really isn't such a bad kid, but he has a really terrible home life that she can't tell me about that makes him act out. For the record, my mom has always had a soft spot for kids who come from bad homes. I reminded her of all the things he had done to me, and she said that she understands, but he really needs help right now. I told her, I get it, but why does it have to be you? We have a huge school full of teachers and staff who can mentor him. Why does it have to be you? She told me to stop being selfish, and some kids have it harder than I can imagine, and she's just trying to help. I was honest with her and told her that if she continued to have him as her aide, she was dead to me. She was choosing him over me, and she would no longer be my mother. I would no longer talk to her, and the minute I turned 18, I was moving out and she would never hear from me again. She rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic, but after a couple of days of ignoring her, I was grounded. It didn't change my mind, and my dad tried to force me to talk to her. I still refused. So they pretty much took everything away from me one by one for the past few weeks. I no longer have my car, computer, guitar, and most recently, my art supplies, and I have to come home from school and go straight to my room and am not allowed out except dinner until I start talking to her again. They don't realize that this is just strengthening my resolve. I'm going to sit in this empty room every day silently until I'm 18 and they'll never see me again. My mom keeps coming in crying and begging me to talk to her, which makes me feel kind of bad, but she still won't remove Dave as her aide. Am I taking this too far? I just feel so betrayed. Update. I'm sorry I stopped answering everyone's questions. I just kind of freaked out when this blew up out of nowhere, and I almost deleted it a few times because I was scared someone at school would see it and recognize me. Everyone letting me know that it's not my fault helped a lot though, so I feel less embarrassed about someone I know potentially seeing it. Nothing has really changed, but a lot of you made a good point that if I'm really going to go this route, then I need to come up with a plan for what I'm going to do when I get out. I considered the military, like some people suggested, but then I remembered my school has a special trade program. You go to our school for half a day, then spend the other half at our local community college taking trade classes. I think depending on what you're doing, you can get an associate's degree or whatever certifications you need by the time you graduate. I went to my guidance counselor during lunch today and told her I wanted to switch to that program. She acted really surprised and asked why did I want to change now since I'm already taking AP classes and am on the college track. I told her I didn't want to talk about it, but I would need to be ready for independence when I graduated, and this seemed like the best way. She said it might be too late to change this semester, but she would look into it for me and let me know. I found another update to this one because I am a little bit invested in the story. Update. Am I the asshole for telling my mom she's dead to me if she mentors my bully? To everyone who said my mom was sleeping with Dave, you were right. Just kidding. Y'all are weirdos and watch too much porn. A lot has actually happened since last week, and while nothing is really fixed, I think things are going in the right direction. On Friday, I got called out of class to the guidance counselor. When I got there, my mom and the assistant principal were there as well. The counselor asked me to sit down and said that me changing tracks from college to trade, like I mentioned in my last post, was a big decision, and she wanted to sit down with my mom and me to figure out if this really was the best for my future. She first asked me if I would fully explain why I wanted to switch. I explained the whole situation from my perspective and about how I was being punished. I said that if this is how I was going to be treated from now on, I wanted to become independent as soon as possible, and going to college would have me relying on my parents for longer than I would like. She then asked my mom if she had anything she would like to add. My mom tried to downplay the whole situation at first and make it look like I was just being stubborn and disrespectful. But as the counselor asked her more questions, it became pretty clear that my side was the truth. After this, the assistant principal stepped in and said that a teacher's aide was not worth all of this turmoil and that Dave would be switched with another teacher. The counselor then asked me if this would help me to start working things out with my mom. I said not really, because it wasn't even her choice, and she hasn't even admitted she's done anything wrong. She then asked my mom if she's willing to apologize for anything that had happened. My mom gave a half-hearted apology where she said things had gone overboard and she never meant to hurt me so much. The counselor asked if I would like to apologize for anything as well, and I said not really, but nobody pressed me on it. The counselor then said about my transfer. It was too late for this semester. What she suggested is that my mom and I, possibly my dad, should go to a family counselor for the rest of the semester. I would stay in my current classes, my parents would give me all my stuff back, and we could see if we can come to some kind of peace before next semester. She then asked my mom that if after that I still had not changed my mind, she would accept the class changes. My mom said no at first because she wanted me to go to college, but I told her that she had already failed me as a mother once. Please don't do it again. She got really quiet and said she would agree to that if that was what I really wanted. When I got home, all my stuff was returned to me. I also started talking to my mom again. I just kind of felt like there wasn't a point to ignoring her anymore. I don't treat her like a mother or anything anymore, but I'll answer her if she asks me a question. I just feel like that now that I have a plan, a lot of my anger is gone, and I just see her as a person who happens to live in my house. We haven't scheduled our first counseling session yet, but I don't see it changing much anyway. The damage is done, so I don't see myself changing my mind. That's pretty much it. I probably won't update again unless something crazy happens or something. Thank you to everyone who gave me good advice. In the end, no matter what the mom says, she did choose her son's bully over her son. And OP brought up a good point. Just because he comes from a broken home doesn't mean it's his mother's responsibility to fix his bully. It could literally be any other teacher. She was made aware of how her son felt about it, what his reaction would be, proceeded with it, got the reaction that was promised, started to punish him by essentially extending the bully's reach into their home and acting as Dave's surrogate. And then she was gobsmacked when her son wouldn't suddenly change his tone when the punishment started extending, when he doubled down, feeling like this was more of an authority and disrespect problem than honestly her failing as a parent. Because in the end, it wasn't the mother's choice to remove Dave as the aide. It was the principals. It was the counselors. Her colleagues had to step in. That's something that OP is probably going to remember for the rest of his life, is that when it came down to it, when she heard my point of view, she said that it was me just being disrespectful and stubborn, and it took her being grilled by her colleagues, where gossip is definitely going to spread, for her to even get a modicum of a half-baked apology sent towards her son. And it took the assistant principal to actually step in and finalize this. Like, OP is going to be remembering this for the rest of his life. And I don't blame him at all. Additionally, the father should 100% be going to family counseling because he supported and sustained the punishments. I think a lot of this boils down to some parents just can't comprehend that sometimes when a child is being stubborn or disrespectful, it's an actual genuine grievance they have with something that's going on. And when you ignore that, that's just going to push them away. Hopefully, OP's parents are able to repair the relationship with their child, but that's up to them. They have to put the legwork in. OP doesn't have to do shit. He's the one who got burned here. And if they want a relationship with their child, they have to earn that. Posted by Register Best 4296. Stepfather told me to plug his computer back in even though it was storming really bad. This happened about 20 years ago when I was about 14 to 15 years old. I grew up with my dad telling me to always unplug any computers when there was lighting, because it could strike the house and fry the computer. At this point in time, I was living with my mom and her new husband in his house. In the den, there was a computer for the adults and a computer for me and my brother. When I noticed the storm, I went into the den and unplugged both computers. As I was crawling out from underneath their desk, my stepfather came into the room and asked me what I was doing around their desk. I told him I unplugged the computers because there was a lightning storm happening. He got mad at me and told me that I was never to touch their computer or desk and told me to plug it back up right then. I tried to argue. I've always had a little bit of an attitude when I'm told I'm wrong when I know I'm not, lol. And he just got madder and told me to plug it back up and be quiet. So I did as I was told. I didn't plug our computer back in though, just theirs. Later that evening or the next day, when he tried to boot up the computer, it wouldn't turn on. Turns out it got fried from the storm. Oh, the urge to say I told you so was so strong. Edit to add, his reaction was to complain about the computer not working and try to ask my mom and brother about why it wasn't working. My brother explained that it was probably struck by lightning from the bad storm. He avoided me like the plague for a while after that. So, just as a big tip, always invest in a surge protector for your electronics. Unless you are willing to lose that electronic device, try to get a surge protector. And don't cheap out. Don't go for the first Amazon Basics one that you see. Go for one that's a recognizable brand. And it doesn't have to be that you recognize it. Just Google the brand and make sure they've existed for a while and it's not just one of those fake tech brands that pop up on Amazon where it's a couple jumble of characters to make it sound like it's something quirky, because that just means that it's a dropship. The 3 brands that I oftentimes will recommend are Anchor, Belkin, and Pluggable. They have never done me wrong and they always do their job right. It's also always better to, basically replace a $40 power strip than replace thousands of dollars worth of equipment. I mean, hell, I'm pretty fucking sure right now that my washer died because of that. Because we had a thunderstorm, I was being stupid, I put a load in, things were going great, woke up the next morning, washer was full of water and it won't fucking turn on. So that's a fun repair bill. Honestly, for the laundry, I might just buy one of those, kind of just over outlet plugs where you plug it into your outlet and it just acts as a surge protector in the front of it. Kind of extends out from the wall a little bit. Or hell, maybe they have surge protectors that are built into outlets. I'll have to probably talk to an electrician about that. As should you if you're fucking with the outlets in your house, by the way. Unless you know what you're doing, leave it to a professional. Posted to r/relationship advice. I, 35 female, regret marrying my husband, 34 male. How to get past this? I am a 35 female who made a mistake of a lifetime. I grew up in a household where my parents fought a lot. During my doctoral years in graduate school, I was in a stable 4-year relationship with a doctor that felt perfect. My ex was loving, funny, generous, kind, and had very strong character and similar internal value system. We never fought. I was happy, fulfilled, motivated, secure, and overall a better, stronger person with him, by my side. I remember looking at him while he was driving once and thinking, man, he will be such a good dad one day. The segment in my life with him was happy, but looking back, it also felt alien. I had never been in such a stable relationship before. I didn't grow up like that. I had never been this supported or happy. I didn't know how good I had it. However, our sex life wasn't great to non-existent. At the end of our relationship, I ended up moving away for a highly competitive, once-in-a-lifetime job offer. While away, I cheated on him, and we're no longer together. I cheated on him with my husband. My husband and I met because we shared a similar passion for trail running ultramarathons. We loved being outdoors and having someone by my side in such a niche sport felt special. I overlooked the fact that he only graduated high school and was/is making minimum wage while I make 6 figures. I was young and thought that love would prevail. I started to see cracks in our relationship as time went on. While I was working hard and overtime to save up for a house, he would disappear for days on camping trips, leaving me to take care of household chores and our dog. We fought over so many little things and had countless communication issues. We do not communicate well or do not conflict resolution well. I'd noticed our sense of humor didn't always jive. For example, there was a time I questioned if he's racist because of the jokes he made with his friends, and it really bothered me. Our empathy levels for others and this planet are very different. But I was in my 30s and thought I needed to make this work. I later learned that there is guilt from cheating and oftentimes you feel like you need to end up with the person to make it feel right. So we got married and now have a baby. After having a baby, our differences and conflicting values are amplified. After marrying, he took an expensive career change, which I am funding. He comes home from work tired and sometimes needs to study after work or on weekends. When he's not studying, he lies in bed on his phone instead of spending time with me or our baby. He says he needs to decompress. He is always on his phone, whereas I cut down on screen time for my baby. He says his career comes first, even though it doesn't pay much compared to my career. He says when he gets a chance, he's going to move our family out of state to advance his career. I told him I do not want that because we have grandparents, good schools, and a strong community here for our child. He does nearly 0% of the childcare throughout the week. On weekends, he may have 15 to 30-minute play sessions with our baby, but it's always spontaneous, on his time. And I never know how much free time I will have before he says, I need to get back to studying. So it's hard for me to get things done or run errands out of the house. Despite him being very absent as a parent, he's very opinionated with raising our baby, and everything seems to be my fault according to him. Not a pleasant experience. He threatens me with more workload. If I complain about his absence as a dad while he's playing with our baby, he leaves the room and says, I'm playing with him for you. If you're not grateful, I need to get back to work. Similarly, I did all of our taxes as always, and he offers to help mail the packet. When I complained he forgot to attach the W-2s among missing other things, he said this was too complicated and he's going to bed. Never said thank you to me for doing our taxes, leaving me to finish the task he offered to help. He is entitled. For example, he saves $0 for the down payment of our home, yet our home needs to have 3-car garages and he needs an extra room for a music studio that he never uses now. Yes, I wanted to be a good partner and concede to his demands and now feel resentful. I also feel resentful when I see his friends who married their classmates now living in nice, safe, highly sought-after neighborhoods in beautiful homes, or have 2 or 3 homes, while we needed to make some compromises, as I'm the sole breadwinner in our relationship. Our education level differences also show in our conversations. It does not seem like he looks into global or political issues deeply or empathetically. He also has no interest in doing or learning how to do conflict resolution. It also appears he's too insecure to apologize. After knowing him for 8 years and countless arguments, he has only apologized once or twice to me, while I apologize after nearly all arguments. He's always tired. One morning outing to the park, and he needs to be in bed for 3 hours, 2 hours, in his phone, and 1 hour napping. Yes, I know money/income and education isn't everything. I know this may be my fate from karma from cheating on my good ex. I'm just feeling lost and alone. I'm wondering, I don't know, if anyone has any advice, if things will get better, or how I can move past this. Do you think I made a mistake? Thank you for reading. It is really, really hard to feel any sympathy considering that, this is the man you cheated on your good ex with. You signed up for this. You signed up for this because you met someone who likes running ultra marathons and thought that was a qualifier and something that was worth cheating on your good husband who, when looking back on it, feels like an alien experience because he treated you right. You did this to yourself. I hope to God you signed a prenup because your only way out of this might be to divorce him. And, last thing you want is for him to be taking half your income. Especially because from the sounds of it, he's probably not going to want custody of the child and just leave that responsibility on you. You got who you deserved. And that's really where this ends at. Posted by I'm Just Vibin' Bro, Uwu. Lazy classmate didn't participate in group project and is surprised when given an F. I'm not sure if this goes in this subreddit, but here you go. So earlier this month, I had to do this group project that was kind of a mock interview of what it's like to be a sophomore in high school. We had to be in groups of 4, and one person had to be the interviewer, while the others had to be interviewed. I picked the interviewer role because I'm very good at public speaking and acting. The main part of the grade was presentation and participation. And this one guy in my group, I'll call him Jeff, was very rude and didn't even try to participate in the project, which led the rest of my group with a lot of extra things to do. Once it came down to the speaking part and going over lines for the upcoming presentation, Jeff didn't help at all. He insulted the rest of the group and said we were trying too hard and no one cares about this bullshit, bro. And when it came time for us to present our bit, he didn't even get up in front of the class with us and just laughed and talked all through the little bit we did. Long story short, it turned out that the project was being put in as a test grade, and Jeff came to class the next day crying and begging the teacher to bring his grade up and tried to blame us for him not participating. You know, as an adult in hindsight, this really kind of just shows how much of a pushover I was and how easy I was to bribe. But in high school, because I went to a technical-focused high school with media arts, programming, database architecture, networking architecture, breadboarding, hardware, all that kind of stuff, it was a very tech-focused school with lots of projects and whatnot. And if you're wondering, no, it wasn't a private school. So with those details down, it became known amongst the kids who did not give a shit about doing the work but realized they could get a few easy A's that you could bribe me with caffeine, and I would happily do it. I thought I was getting a bargain deal here. They would give me caffeine, I would do their part of the project, happily, and no one would touch my shit and my control freak could go crazy. Although, honestly, while they did kind of take advantage of me, because of this I was able to build a lot of diverse sets of skills that did allow me to get my first paid internship. So, perhaps maybe in the end, despite them initially taking advantage of me, I'm the true winner here. What about you guys? Do you guys have any group projects that were so fucking infuriating that even into adulthood, you're just like, God, that little bastard? Tell them in the comments. I'd love to read them. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSups. Use code OZ at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code OZ directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Bear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code OZ at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.